was not meant to happen. This could not happen. This is happening.
Welcome back, everybody. This is another episode of The Coach's Son Parks the Bus. We have my fellow co-host here, Stephen. Unfortunately, we are missing our other co-host, Stephen's brother, James. That's a first strike for James, unfortunately. He couldn't make this one. But we do have a special guest here. This is episode 6. We have Dylan Wenzel-Halls here from the Central Coast Mariners. Treble winner, 3-time A-League winner. It's a big guest, guys. We keep stepping.
This is huge.
Dylan. Welcome.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Generous intro.
No worries, man. Thanks for sparing the time, man. Appreciate it.
Well, I was thinking we've had an ex-A-League player on here. We've had an A-League coach on here. We've got rid of those has-beens. Now we've got a proper star, like you mentioned, Adam. Treble winner, back-to-back. I think 3-time championship winner.
Back to back. Yeah. It's
Back-to-back. There you go.
Wow. There you go.
How good is that?
How good. Netflix documentary coming in soon.
there would be that footage.
Oh, let's get into it, Adam.
Yeah, let's wrap into it. So tell us a bit about yourself. Tell us about your early journey in football. Where did you start?
I started at a club called Ipswich Knights. So, probably 35 k's out of Brisbane. So Ipswich Knights, I was there for 2 or 3 seasons before moving to Queensland Lions. Obviously, they're a big club in the Queensland NPL. Doing well at the moment, actually. And then from there, I moved over to Olympic, a Greek team, which I thoroughly enjoyed the football at the Greek side and thoroughly enjoyed the Souvlaki afterwards. So that was
The cousins.
Yeah, I imagine. And then from there went on to the Brisbane Roar youth team. Was there a season, was released by them. Went back to my local team Ipswich and played for a team there called Western Pride in the NPL and did all right there. Scored a few goals and then signed a pro deal at Brisbane. So
awesome. As you just mentioned there, Western Pride. Me and Steve thoroughly do our research here on the podcast, and a nice little cheeky stat came up that you set a record, mate, for the most amount of goals that was actually in a game for Western Pride. That was 7 goals in one game. I think we read up.
Yeah, that was against the Sunshine Coast Fire. So that was insane, that game, honestly. Like I scored 1 or 2 early goals, and I'm thinking to myself, like, I'm on here. Like this is huge for the Golden Boot race. Every time a ball went in, I look like an idiot. Run back, grab the ball out of the net while everyone else is celebrating, and then just lucky enough to score 7. I think a few of them were tap-ins, but as a striker, you take them.
100%.
Oh, that's unreal, mate. You sound very humble with that one, but I'd probably get a tattoo on my back about it or something like that if I got that record, mate.
The minute.
Yeah, each minute. To be fair, I think they got broken, actually. One of my mates ended up breaking them against the same team.
Why?
Yeah, one of my good mates. So, it's spewing.
If anyone's going to do it, it'll be your mate, right?
Oh, yeah, it's true. Glad it was him. He's a good guy. But yeah, I think he scored 8 against the same team, coincidentally. So, yeah.
Unreal.
Before we came on, Adam was like, do you reckon he remembers scoring 7 goals? I was like, I remember scoring a freaking own goal 15 years ago. Of course he's going to remember.
100%. Yeah, no way I was forgetting that anytime soon.
How did you transition into getting your pro contract with Brisbane Roar? Obviously, I think you mentioned that you were in the youth academy there, or did you go youth academy back to your local team and then you got picked up? How did that work?
Yeah, so I went from Olympic to the youth team at Brisbane, played a season there, obviously of NYL, then a season of the NPL, then a new coach come in and just obviously said, you're not in my plans and whatnot. I went back to the NPL then, and that's where I had about a year and a half there where I scored, a few goals there, and then coincidentally again the first team then at Brisbane come knocking, and it's funny you say that because before signing at Brisbane, the Mariners, I think Nick Montgomery come down and watched me train in the NPL at my local team in Ipswich, and obviously was keen to bring. He was assistant coach back then. Was keen to bring me to the coast, and then Brisbane Roar obviously got wind of that, and then they signed me. So
right.
So and then obviously coming to the Mariners now, Monty's the one that signed me and wanted to bring me here. So full circle, which is crazy.
Yeah. That's
You made
awesome.
your A-League debut 2018, I believe it was, and you were replacing Matt Mackay, who we all know is one of the best A-League players. How was that? And was it obviously would have been a proud feeling for yourself and your family as well?
Yeah, it was madness. Obviously, it was at Suncorp Stadium as well, where I'd grown up, watching Brisbane play in the league, and to replace such a club legend, and I think Australian football legend like Matt Mackay was incredible. I don't remember much of it. I think I was on for 2 or 3 minutes, and it was just a big blur. I don't remember any of it, but it was a
Would have been
special
buzzing.
moment to have so many special people in the stands to watch that moment. And yeah, just touching on Matty Mackay, he's probably one of the best players I've played with in terms of quality, versatility, everything. He was incredible.
How was he as a leader?
He was good. I think I had no issues with him. He was brilliant. I thought he was fantastic. That season at Brisbane, he played left back, he played centre back, he played right wing, he played 6, 8, 10. He just filled the gaps where we were struggling. Obviously, it was a poor season then, and he filled that void and just about played everywhere. So he was incredible, and yeah, really led by example. He was a top player.
Yeah, and he was captain at the time, wasn't he? So when he came off, did he hand you the armband, or what was the go there?
Oh, I wish he did. That would have been incredible. But no, I honestly, I don't remember much of my debut. It was just such a big blur. All I remember is I had one moment where I got the ball and I was a bit naive and tried to run past Bart Schenkerveld, and I remember he was back then probably the quickest player in the league, let alone a centre back. So he humbled me there.
When starting off at Brisbane and you get that pro contract, what's your approach to the whole situation? Do you sort of keep to yourself? Do you try to make some friends? Do you try to gather in with the boys, or how's it work with that? Do you try to focus on your own game, or?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me was, as probably bad as it sounds, I tried to fit in straight away with the more senior players, although being young, just because I felt, that's where I was going to learn the most from them. I wasn't going to learn from the players sort of in that sort of bracket that I was in. It was more learning from those guys. So it was more taking tips from them. Yeah, trying to obviously make friends with them. But at the time, a lot of those older pros were so welcoming, like Jack Ingett, Matty Mackay, all those sort of boys were so welcoming. So that was a good experience, obviously, going in, but it was a bit daunting as well because, you've got Brett Holmans, you've got, these sorts of players that you watch on TV, watched at World Cups, and obviously have had fantastic careers, and then you're sort of sitting across them in a change room. It was quite surreal for a number of weeks.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. So when your time at Brisbane finished up, so you were obviously there for a little while, did you find it a little bit hard transitioning to Western United and then obviously moving on to Mariners as well? Was that a little bit hard? And was it obviously hard moving maybe away from family, moving states as well?
Yeah, of course. It was always a difficult move, moving states. I was lucky to have like a supportive partner, obviously, that moved with me. And obviously, we settled in both together, which was, much easier. But yeah, of course, packing up and leaving your home state, your family and your friends is always difficult. But, it was an exciting opportunity in Melbourne, and, Melbourne's a big city, and, I was just looking forward to checking out all the cafes, the restaurants, having a fresh start football wise, not being, the local lad, and, going down there because obviously I've had a good season and being a part of obviously, a new club, and, that was a great experience as well.
Were your experience playing for Olympic up in Brisbane or the Greek food there? You had to move down to Melbourne. You missed it too much.
To be fair, all the boys used to say I should get out to, what are the suburbs?
Was it Oakley? Oakley one?
Yeah, Oakley. They reckon that's the best of lucky in Melbourne.
Yeah.
I never ventured out that way, to be fair. So.
Next away trip for sure.
100%. Well, I think we've got Heidelberg in the FFA Cup, so might be able to sneak off and get us the lucky somewhere there.
Yeah, big. Well, you touched on before, you are back-to-back champion. You won your first A-League championship with Western United in the 21-22 season. Played a lot of games that season as well, 27 games, I believe, scoring 5 goals, one of them in the semi-final. Victory over Melbourne Victory. There you go. What are your memories of that season? Yeah, tell us about it.
Yeah, that season was a good one. Obviously, we signed Prijovic, who's a, superstar Serbian striker, and done so well for his country. And, at the start of the season, I played the first 4 or 5 games and did well, scored 2 goals, I think, 2 winning goals. And then he got fit, obviously, and, come in and played, pretty much the rest of the season. And, I had to be patient because I was playing a lot of games off the bench. just had to bide my time and keep doing what I was doing in training and not, slacking off or throw the towel in because I'm not playing. And, I was fortunate to get handed I think it was the last game of the season, a game to play with me and Prijovic up top, and I scored and did well. And then that was just the finals run. I played the remaining games into the finals and started, and that season was special, I think, because I played such a role in those finals games. I scored, I assisted, I made an impact in those games and played large minutes in those games. So that was such a special experience to play in those games and obviously win it ultimately.
Is there a goal that stands out in that particular season? You mentioned you scored 2 winning goals, scored a goal in that semi-final.
Yeah, I think obviously I scored a decent goal against Melbourne City on the break, on the counter. I think it was the 19th minute. Us strikers don't forget when we scored. It was the 19th minute. I think it was a good goal, but I think my favourite goal was the goal against victory in the semi-final, just being such a important goal, the clincher, and ultimately sealing the grand final berth for the club, and knowing that we're going on to the big dance. I think that was such a special goal, and the celebrations of that goal was insane.
What's the lead up like to say finals week, say leading up to a grand final? There's obviously media and stuff obligations, but what's the team itself like? You got to sort of keep a little bit grounded and not overthink a little bit too much.
Yeah, it's insane because every coach says it's just another game. Don't make a big fuss of it, but there is such a big fuss.
So hard not to. Yeah.
Yeah, there's medias. You got every player gets to do certain interviews leading into it. The pressures of it, obviously rocking up on grand final day, and just little things like that you wouldn't normally do. You might get a bus in for the grand final, whereas like on a normal day you wouldn't do that. So everyone says don't make a big deal of it. It's just another game. But all these external factors, you subconsciously know it's not just a normal game. But I think it's just excitement. I think you've made it so far, and it's just the last hurdle. But I think on the same note, you want to win that because that heartbreak, obviously, of losing a final is, well, I don't know because I haven't, but and that's in the nicest way. But I mean, it's you want the celebrations post the final to be unbelievable. You don't want to have that feeling of, oh, it was a great season, but we didn't win, and obviously that dampens the mood.
Yeah.
You mentioned before, you remember the minute of when you scored your goals and all that. I remember an interview with Wayne Rooney. He scored 200 plus Premier League goals. Someone asked him, do you remember them? He goes, 100%. I remember all of them. People say that goalkeepers are a strange breed. I reckon strikers are even weirder.
You're right. No, I think, it's even crazy in the change room now, when, some boys, like, I think there was an instance where Nisbet said to me, oh, how many A-League goals you got? And I obviously knew how many goals I had. Like, somewhere around the 20 mark. And then they all start laughing. Oh, we know you know exactly how many goals how many you got. And I'm like, all right, I got 20. So, I think strikers never forget their goals. I mean, especially at that professional level or senior level, I think they're, so memorable.
Yeah, fair enough, because they all mean so much, right? So, and at the end of the day, when we Google your name, they all come up. So you have to remember them when we ask
That's
you.
what people remember, right? They'll remember, great goal he scored here, or those little things. So I think, the memories I'll always have, because it is the best feeling to scoring a goal, and I think every striker says that. But in the moment when you put it in the back of the net, you celebrate. It's just like something else takes over, and I say it's like a little gremlin takes over when I celebrate, because I go crazy. I do about 4 or 5 different celebrations in the one. I don't know what I'm doing.
That's why they do it.
Yeah.
Fast forward to the season that just passed, treble winning year. Your Asian Cup campaign, you scored a double against Philippine powerhouse Stallion Laguna. You're part of the squad that went away to Bali, Kyrgyzstan, and you versed a Lebanese Premier League team in Oman.
Yep.
What was it like travelling? Well, you would have had to travel 14, 15 hours to go to these places. What was it like being around the team on the flight? Who was a big pest as well? What was the experience?
It was, honestly, it was such an incredible experience. I would have loved to have played more than I did, but that's football, and it was just such a good experience to travel to these countries. But it was really tough because, we are traveling 15 hours, going 7 hours to whatever it is, 15 hours to Dubai, stop over for 7 hours, and then flying to Kyrgyzstan, and then, our flights getting delayed and Dubai flooding and, having to fly out 2 days later and stop off at Korea. It was just insane. And I think there was a lot of things that went wrong, but we just got on with it. We were delayed. We were supposed to have a game on a Saturday. We'd get back on the Thursday night, train the next day, play the next day. And it was a busy schedule and a busy time. But, reflecting on it after the season, obviously it was all worthwhile. And yeah, it was such a great experience. And in terms of the treble, I don't think there's going to be an A-League team do that, ever again. So, well, potentially could, but I think it's going to take a lot to top because it was such an incredible achievement from, every player, obviously the coaches, the staff. It was honestly incredible.
And obviously it was a long way to travel, but I mean, Bali's not too far. I think you played in Malaysia as well.
Malaysia.
Perth's pretty much the same distance anyway, so you're kind of playing in Malaysia.
Yeah. Well, we went straight from Perth to Bali. But I remember, I remember watching the draw. We were all watching the draw live, going back into preseason, and we're all sitting there in the group chat going, Bali away, Bali away, Bali away, please Bali away. Like full thinking, like, yeah, it's going to be cool. We're going to go to Bali. We'll get a night out afterwards. Not knowing we're going to play on a Wednesday, then have to travel back, play on the following Saturday. So it was no time anyway. But everyone loves Bali, and the thought of going to Bali is pretty cool.
Yeah, you'd really have to acclimatise yourself to everything as well, like terrain and different type of weather conditions as well. You guys playing into
the heat was insane. The humidity was a different level to obviously Australia. But even like the pitches, they wouldn't water the pitches, so they were really dry for us because it suited them.
Of course.
The pitch was really long and spongy, and it's not like pitches in Australia. And then obviously the humidity was tough. And I think in Australia we dominated those games and beat teams 3 or 4-0. But they're not going over to their country. It was a lot harder because of the humidity, the travel that we've had to do, the pitch. Everything added up to obviously make it more difficult. But in the end, we got the success that I think we deserved, and it was a great experience.
Outside of football, would you go back to Kyrgyzstan or Oman again?
People say that, but I'm a bit of a travel bug, so we get there 2 or 3 days before we play. I like to suss out the local coffee joint and do all that sort of stuff. And people think they're awful countries, but they're actually not. They're quite lovely countries, and Kyrgyzstan really surprised me. I didn't know what to expect, but it was beautiful. There was snowy mountains as our backdrop to training, and it was incredible. But I didn't even know Kyrgyzstan was a country. So
right, even better when you get to do it for work, right?
Well, yeah, that's right. To be fair, I probably wouldn't go back. But if I had a stop over there, then I'd obviously love to share that experience, with my partner. Yeah.
It's nice to say that at least you went. To be honest, tick it off the list.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like you said, ticked off the list because most probably won't go back. So, not bad.
Obviously, you've had an amazing journey in Australia so far and still ongoing as well. Just over your career as well, highs and lows, was there any potential opportunities to actually expand and play abroad, say Europe or Asia? Did those opportunities ever come up, or was that something that even crossed your mind potentially bring yourself over there and trying things out?
Yeah, for sure. I think every young player's dream is to go play in Europe, and you're 14, 15, and you're looking at European teams that you'd love to play for. So I think it's everyone's dream. At my back end at Brisbane, I had a decent opportunity to go to a club in Denmark, but obviously they ended up getting relegated, and then it wasn't the right fit. That's why I opted for Western United. But of course, when you're doing well, there's always talk and a couple of little like snips and stuff like that. But nothing concrete for me. But it's all I wanted to do was to play in Europe. And at 26, turning 27 now, that opportunity's potentially sailed and probably has sailed. But I'm still proud of my career and what I've been able to achieve, and also getting to where I am today. Because had you have told the 12-year-old me that I'd play 100 games in the A-League, win a couple of trophies and score goals at packed Amy Park or packed or half packed Suncorp, I would have I would have never believed you. It was always a dream, but so I'm very appreciative of my time playing professionally, and hopefully more memories to come.
Well, you're only 26. Ronaldo, Modric played this morning. He's 39 this year, so you've got another 13 good years in you. So don't rule it out, mate. Come on.
I could only wish 13 more years would be an incredible innings, and I think fair play to those players that can play at that level to that age that they're playing at, because it's not easy, and I think physically and mentally it's tough. So to be at that pinnacle of Modric and these players is insane, and even like mentioning in the A-League, Topple Stanley, Lee Broxham, like to play, but 15 to 20 years professional is not easy, and fair play to them, because it's a brewing effort.
Not just that, especially playing here in Australia, you're playing in the middle of summer as well, which is incredible. Like that must take such a big toll on your body.
It does. Obviously, we train at 10, 11 o'clock in the morning. So obviously it could, we're very blessed to do what we do and get to wake up every day and play football. But, you're training in the heat every single day. So obviously that takes it out of you. But then also, I think the games, there was sometimes you'd kick off at 3, 4 o'clock in the Arvo and it's still ridiculously hot. So I think it's good that obviously I think it's the league and the PFA stepped in and said, no kickoffs before 5 o'clock or something like that, I think it was. So that's obviously helped massively for the men's and women. But yeah, it's physically and mentally draining. But on the same note, we're very lucky and privileged to be where we are and do what we do.
Mariners, they've been getting a pretty decent following the last couple of years. Must be pretty nice playing out there at Gosford. What's it like playing in front of the home fans? And after that, let us know what your favourite away ground is as well.
Yeah, I think, prior to coming to the Mariners, I'd probably say the Mariners was my favourite away ground, just because, you stay in Terrigal, which is, a beautiful hotel that overlooks the water. You go to the stadium, and I remember taking videos and showing my girlfriend, showing my mum and dad, just saying this is the most beautiful stadium that I'll probably ever play at. You got the water, the palm trees. It's honestly a beautiful backdrop. So I would have said the Mariners, but obviously playing here now, I think in terms of atmosphere, my favourite would be Coopers. A packed Coopers stadium against an Adelaide team that's doing well is such an incredible atmosphere. And Coopers is rocking. Honestly, it's such an incredible atmosphere when they're doing well.
Yeah, that's funny. I'm glad you mentioned Terrigal, because I was going to say there's some really nice parts of Central Coast and there's some absolute shithole places. So I'm assuming you're staying out near Terrigal, which is nice.
Yeah, I'm in Terrigal, luckily. So it's a beautiful place, honestly. Yeah, it's such a nice place to live and such a good experience playing for the Mariners. And I think it's the only professional team obviously on the coast. There's no AFL, there's no NRL. So you walk down the street and there's people wearing Mariners hats or Mariners shirts, and you see kids at the shopping centre wearing Central Coast Mariners jerseys, and it's just so good to see that the whole community and everyone gets around the Mariners. And it helps obviously not having the competition of other sports and codes and teams, but it's such a unique experience, and it's such a community-based sort of area, and it's incredible.
You guys are obviously in pre-season or post-season at the moment. Do they put you somewhat on a schedule or training regime, or do they give you guys a bit of a break, or when are you guys scheduled to go back?
So we scheduled to go back on the mid-July, but yeah, we had probably 3 weeks off after the grand final where we sort of just didn't do a lot at all. And obviously on our schedule was off, but some boys still went to the gym and did bits and bobs, because you do get quite bored. But then they give us a schedule to sort of run us back in 4 weeks into pre-season. So everyone thinks pre-season's just you're off completely, but you're expected to come back in decent shape nowadays. I think back in the day, pre-season was to get fit and get in shape, but I think it's changed a lot now where you're expected to come back fit.
Yeah, well, I mean, you probably don't want to be that guy going into training where everyone might be up to a decent par and then you're slowly lacking behind, I guess, a little bit.
Yeah, I think the other thing is you just know how tough preseason can be, and you know that when you get there, you're going to be doing whatever it is, a 2K time trial or a beat test, and you just don't like the feeling of being sick. I hate that feeling of running and I feel like I could spew. So it's just easier to just keep fit, have less of a break, and just keep fit for that reason.
Do they still do like beach sessions as part of like your fitness regime? I remember we used to do that a lot, Steve, when we used to play.
No, we don't do much of that. Hey?
No.
We don't do much of the beach. No. Every now and then it might be a beach recovery, or even last season we did a couple of I think 1 or 2 beach sessions just as sort of a novelty or to break up a big week. But no, we don't do too many beach sessions. But I'm happy because running on the sand stuff, I could imagine.
Yeah, I was about to say, maybe they're just trying to do it as like a torture thing for us, Steve. Maybe that's why they got us running on the dry sand, to be honest.
Yeah, good thing of nothing worse.
Yeah, not great.
With shoes on too. Big feeling.
You should be finding sand everywhere.
Yeah. Not great.
Yeah, well, obviously we mentioned about pre-season. I don't follow you on socials yet, but all the other players, overseas players, I'm a big Spurs fan, as you can see.
Yeah.
All they post in the off-season, if they're not at the Euros or another competition, they're all just training their house down. So you don't, like you said, you don't want to be going back to training looking like Fat Ronaldo, although you might get a good nickname if you go back there.
Yeah.
On nicknames, have you got one yourself?
Well,
Do you want one?
obviously, no. It depends who's going to give me a nickname. No, most of the boys just call me Dill or Wenzies, or that's pretty much it. To be fair, I don't get called. I get called a pest, obviously, but I wouldn't say it's a nickname. It's more of probably a personality trait.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So you were the pest on the plane going over to those away trips.
I don't like sitting still, so I'm always up and about. If I'm not asleep, I'm up and about and looking for someone to talk to or looking for something to do. So I don't enjoy sitting still. That's why I said when we go on these away games, a lot of the boys like to just sit in the hotel and rest, whereas I like to, go for a walk and see what's around and get my coffee.
Yeah, right.
So.
What about
Nice.
FIFA? You and boys play FIFA a bit or not? You off that now?
To be fair, leading into the finals, all the boys played. They all played. What's it called? I don't play much FIFA, but I've got it. When you can play in a team together.
Oh, pro club.
Pro. I sound like I'm about 40 saying this. But no, we all played pro clubs like the day before the game, leading into the semi-final, and it was such good fun. We all got around it, and the boys thought it'd be a good idea to rip into me because they know I'll bite back and nibble and have a crack. So yeah, that was good fun. But a lot of the boys here, play PlayStation, whether that's NBA, Gridiron, or the FIFA games. So
We've probably versed them on clubs, Adam. We've probably versed the boys. Yeah, we've got to keep an eye out for their name.
We've got a bad track record, mate. I don't know. We've got a bad track record so far. Yeah.
No, they love it.
Yeah, right.
Adam, any last questions before we get on to the main event? The big question.
No. Big question.
Well, Jingland, you've had time to think about it, mate. Who is your coach's son?
Josh Nisbet.
Josh Nisbet. There you go.
Good one.
We're calling you out. Honestly, he's next to be on the pod. Make sure you tag him in there.
Let's get him.
Joshy. Let's go.
Get him in. Obviously, he's a fantastic player. He's had an amazing season, and he deserves all the credit he's getting. And but I want to see him on here. I want to see.
Let's make it happen.
I want to see his coaching player.
Let's make it happen.
Well, if anything like you, mate, I'm sure he's a great bloke. So we appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, thanks for your time.
Appreciate it, and
awesome.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks again, everyone. That's the Coach's Son Parks the Bus, episode 6.
This was not meant to happen.